Hello, my name is Jeremiah. I'm with Artisan Windows and Doors. Today I'd like to show you the CWS Comfort Shield window. CWS is a Pella company. This is a variant of the Pella 250 series window. It's a great window. Pella's a great company. They've been around for almost a century and have a very good reputation. They've gotten quite good at building windows, and I'd like to show you some of the details on this window that they've done that differentiate it from a lot of the other windows I can get. This window is a PVC window or a vinyl window. It's fusion welded construction, which is almost all vinyl windows out there nowadays. What that means is in the corners they miter the material, cut a 45 on it, and then heat it up and then melt it together to where it all becomes one piece. This sash here does a good job of demonstrating that. You can see on the inside here it's been melted together in the corner. What's good about that is it all becomes one piece, so it's very strong. There's a lot of surface area that's making contact there and holding these things together. Another good reason to fusion weld windows together is that this corner can't ever separate and leak air or water later on. Fusion welded windows are, in my opinion, the best way to build a window. You can get like aluminum windows. Those would be screwed together in the corners usually. Wood windows, those would be screwed together in the corner. Composite windows, those are screwed together in the corner. It's just a good idea to have a window that you can combine the corners together and the whole thing becomes one piece. It's going to last a lot longer. It's going to perform a lot better. It's just a better way to do it. So there's a few things here that you'll notice. This window has grids in the top and no grids in the bottom so that it can show you what it looks like either way. If you do grids, they're in between the panes of glass. You can see if I flip this around, the grids are going to be really white. And if I flip it back to where you're looking on the outside of the window, you can see they've got this green color. That's the low E glass that these windows come with. Here in Florida, we order them with low E 366, which is very high performance low E. It's going to reflect a lot of the infrared heat from the sun. It's also going to reflect a lot of the ultraviolet, which is the damaging ray from the sun. And it's going to let through a lot of the visible light. So that's generally what we want here in Florida because 10 months of the year you're trying to air condition the house and you want to keep the heat out. So they also have an argon gas fill in between the panes of glass. I'll show you this cross section here to give you an idea of what that looks like. This space here would be filled with that argon gas, so you can just imagine it's basically high. It's invisible insulation. It just gives the window higher performance. You can see that there's lots of chambering in the frame also. This webbing that's in here adds strength to the window, but it also creates different air chambers. Those air chambers add insulation value. I can also get these windows with expandable foam insulation inside of them. That just adds some extra R value. I think that's a great idea, and this is only one of the only windows I can get where that's even an option when you order the window. So a few little details that they've done here that I think are really well thought out and separate this window from other windows. One of them being, you can see here in the glazing bead, there's a drainage hole. I'll show you in this sample here. You can see, here's your glazing bead. If wind-driven rain were to hit this glass, it can travel down and it can get trapped in this area here, which you can see that area has sealant that's sealing the two pieces of glass together to make the insulated glass unit. If water is able to sit there and deteriorate that sealant, you could see insulated glass units that eventually seal fill. They could seal fill prematurely because you've got all that water deteriorating that glass seal all the time. When you've got these drainage holes here, any water that gets in there has somewhere to go, so it doesn't sit there and deteriorate the sealant. Your glass units are just going to last a lot longer. I have a separate video on insulated glass units and the construction of them that'll go into more detail about what this means, but these windows also have edge deletion of their low E, which is also another really big critical step for making the insulated glass units last a long time. So that's a nice detail that I've never seen somebody else do on a window before that I think is really going to add a lot of life to the window. Another thing that they do that I think is just a nice convenience and security feature is the locks on them. You can see if I pull back on this lock, unlocks the window and I can raise it. And when I go to close this window, you can listen for the click here, you'll hear it. This lock is spring loaded and it'll automatically lock itself. You can hear that click, the window's locked. You can't forget to lock the window because it's going to lock itself when you shut it. That's just a small thing that I don't have very many windows where I can get automatic locks, and this is one of them, so it's just a feature that I think is really great. Another thing that they do, which will be easier to demonstrate on the small section of the window here, you can see on this window's frame, you've got a sash that goes up and down, and you've got this wall in the front and back behind. So the back wall is to keep water, from wind-driven rain from being able to get to the inside of the house. The front wall here is for design pressure strength, so wind pressure strength. You can imagine, like let's say a hurricane here in Florida hits, and you've got the hurricane applying positive and negative pressure to the window, meaning pushing on the window, but also pulling on the window. When the window's pulled on, if you have this front wall here, that adds strength to the window in the event that the hurricane's pulling on it, because the sash is going to be able to push against that wall and keep from deforming, which could let wind and rain through the bottom of the window. This is the only window I've ever seen where they do this little detail. You can see that the sash has a little flashing here. That little flashing is actually going to cover over this front wall, and it's going to keep water from being able to get back into this channel with wind-driven rain. You can see if water were to somehow get back behind, they do a drainage hole here in the bottom of this track, and then they also punch a hole in this wall and then in this wall that allows the water to drain down from that track into here and then out the front. You'll see these little weep holes. These weep holes have doors on them so that bugs can't get in there, or lizards or something, and so water can still drain out. But that flashing is just another thing that they've done on this window that I think is a really good design, and I've never seen that on another window before. Another thing is on the sash here, when I open this up and tilt it in, you'll see here you've got weather stripping on windows where the sash interfaces with the main frame of the window. I've got one piece here, another piece here, and then there's actually a third piece on the back here. So there's 3 layers of weather stripping on this window. Almost all the other windows I can get only have 2, so that's something else that differentiates this window from a lot of the other ones I can get. It's also a very nice looking window. This one's a single hung, just meaning that the top is fixed in place and only the bottom moves up and down. One of the nice things about that is it gives you a lot of glass in the top. On double hung windows, which they also do make a variant of this window that's a double hung window. On double hung windows, you're going to have a sash that takes up extra space in the top. I'll kind of simulate that for you here by taking a sash and setting it here. You can imagine that if this is a double hung, you've got all this extra frame material before your glass starts. So you've got a lot less glass. It's going to let in less light. So that's one of the big reasons that people like single hung windows, is you're just going to have more glass with a single hung window. Another thing to think about is more of a technical detail, but on single hung windows, because this top glass is fixed in place, it plays a structural role in the window, so it adds a lot of strength. When you've got a double hung window where both the top and bottom are in sashes, they're floating, so they don't actually add any strength to the main frame of the window. So that's another reason that single hungs are really popular here in Florida, is because they're just stronger inherently by design. So those are a few of the great features of this window. I highly recommend using it. It's a great window by a great company, great reputation. It's got a lifetime warranty, and Pella's been around for 100 years. They're going to stand by their warranty, so I highly recommend giving these windows a shot, and you're welcome to come view them in our showroom anytime. Or if you have any questions, please give us a call at 352-410-3700. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.